am I?
You have made it to the final test of the excellent challenge. Choose your prize, but take heed, for if you choose incorrectly, you will die.
In the regular show episode Excellent, Mordecai has to make a choice. He goes in with a singular goal to get the blue, excellent trucker hat for his friend. When the moment of truth arrives, however, and success is within his grasp, many distractions, golden and glittering, are placed before him, each one with the potential to ruin him. He has to keep in mind and take his original goal to succeed, foregoing the shiny trinkets that are there to distract him.
Your choice is excellent.
For the person who has decided to start building something online, just like the distractions that were placed in front of Mordecai, when you go to create something on the internet, it's going to try to tempt you to forget about your goal, to be distracted, to use you for its own purposes, to just have you be another viewer instead of actually creating something. It's going to try to distract you. If you can't help yourself from the temptation of scrolling endlessly on TikTok or watching infinite videos on YouTube about productivity or anything else, you're never going to be able to get anything done. You have to use the internet sparingly and intentionally in order to be productive. Whether your medium is long form content like this, or short form, or X or Twitter style, like authority kind of writing, whatever it is, you have to know that whenever you're interacting with the internet, it's going to try to use you instead of you using it. It wants to distract you. It wants to have you watch and turn you into another viewer. The important thing to remember is that while you have probably, if you're watching this video, you've probably already recognized the opportunity that the internet provides of being able to grow a massive following, being able to help people, being able to improve your own life and create something online. Just realizing this opportunity isn't enough. You have to also recognize the danger or the downsides. Yes, you can use the internet to do amazing things. You can create a personal brand, you can create a channel, you can create a following, help people, improve your own life. But you can also just scroll for 8 hours, do nothing, make your own life actually worse rather than just going outside and, enjoying nature and getting healthy in some kind of way. Or alternatively, if you do achieve some kind of success, you also have to look out for selling out, for giving up your morals and your self-respect and your original goal for material things like wishes or material things like riches or cars or some kind of other material goal. This is kind of what we see. That's why the other hats in the regular show episode are not just other hats, they're crowns made of gold. They're like fancy designs, but they kind of symbolize wealth that is tempting Mordecai when he is choosing the excellent hat. But posting on the internet means that you do have to interact with the internet. So you are going to be constantly having the ability or the temptation to stop your actual productive work and go scroll. And this can just be, you can think to yourself, it'll just be for 15 minutes. But then 15 minutes can turn into an hour, it can turn into 4 hours, however long, and you just wasted your time because you didn't really have self-control and you weren't aware of what was really happening. If, for example, you wanted to make a YouTube video and you thought of an idea for a video and you wrote out a small video plan or an outline of your video, what it's going to be about, and now it's time to start recording, but maybe you want to make a hook or you want to look at something for how to make a better thumbnail. So you go then onto YouTube to watch a video about someone or making a tutorial, or you just watch someone that you already watch and see how they do it. And so you watch the video, but you still don't quite feel ready. So you watch another video, and then you watch some unrelated productivity video. And after a while, it's been a half hour and you've not really done anything. So you can kind of just get sucked into it without even really knowing. If you're just kind of avoiding taking the action of actually making the video, you have to get used to the uncomfortable action of, it's not even so much that it's uncomfortable, but when your baseline is being entertained all the time, if if you're used to that being your baseline level of like entertainment or like dopamine, if your baseline is being entertained for how you feel, how you normally feel, then work will feel below baseline. It'll feel painful when you actually do it. What you want to do is lower the amount of content that you're consuming so you can lower your baseline to work so it doesn't feel painful to work. And then, eventually, if you do want to chill out a little bit, then that entertainment should feel like it should feel fun. It shouldn't be your baseline though. But you are essentially in a PvE kind of battle against the algorithm, against the machine for your own attention of who's going to use who. Are you going to use the internet to better your own life, or are you going to become a customer of the internet and give it your attention and give it your time? If you think about the internet or your phone kind of like Pandora's box, within the box or out of the box did come a lot of bad things. Like you can find pretty much all of the 7 deadly sins in the internet, pride, wrath, lust, envy, sloth, which would be like doom scrolling or wasting your own time, greed, with everyone like promoting gambling or risky trading or anything like that, gluttony. There's a ton of like mukbang, whatever. But there's also hope. In Pandora's box there was all the suffering and terrible things of the world that was released, but inside the box there was also hope. And for the internet, this means that you can also change your own life. There is the opportunity to use it to change your own life, but you have to be mindful of not just thinking about the internet as a benign thing for entertainment, but realizing that it wants to distract you, and keep that in mind and not allow it to, and make a decision that you are going to use the internet, not that the internet is going to use you. You can use it to better your own life, to help people, but you can also use it to just become like a scroller or a sellout. Speaking of sellouts, you will want to keep in mind that the internet does change people. If I was to use a metaphor, I would use the Lord of the Rings when Gandalf is offered the ring by Frodo and he refuses it because he knows that the ring would change him, and that even though he would start out to use the ring for good, it would completely corrupt him and it would completely change him into a terrible, like a villain. And I don't think the internet is as bad as the One Ring in the Lord of the Rings, but there is the potential for the fame and the money that you could make. And this does happen. We've seen this with a lot of celebrities. There's a potential for it to change you into someone who gives up their original values or their goals, their real goals, for material goals that feels bad once you actually take it, and it ruins your kind of hero's journey. So what do you need to do about this? If you are someone who's trying to post online, who's trying to get into posting or creating some kind of like just creating on the internet, no matter what it is, creating on the internet instead of just consuming, then what you need to do is have a low information diet. This is from the 4-Hour Work Week. And basically it's a pretty simple concept, but the idea is that if you want to produce, if you want to have more output of what you create, then having increased output necessitates decreased input. You can't be intaking a lot of information, watching a lot of content, watching a lot of things, just consuming, and produce a lot. You only have so much time, you only have so much attention. You can't have high input and high output. You only have so much put. Fuck, there's a lawnmower outside. Hopefully you can still hear me. But in order to produce something online and have increased output, it does necessitate having decreased input so that you can use the time for producing content, for actually building something online. So what does this mean like tactically for your actual day-to-day? I personally have a time limit for like TikTok and Instagram Reels, which are the main things that I scroll on. I do watch YouTube, but I find that I'm not as sucked into it. It's not just an infinite scroll wheel. You do have to actually select what you're going to watch. But I don't have very much even phone battery on my phone, so I can't just watch it for hours without my phone running out. I have a very old phone. But you need to just find some ways to lower your input of information. Don't watch, you shouldn't be constantly entertained. You need to have quiet, and you need to have room to think and room to create, to like make a plan and not just be swept up in viewing. You can't view and create something at the same time. This doesn't mean that you should be consuming necessarily zero. You can have maybe like 10 minutes of viewing in order to get like the scoop kind of on the latest trends or the latest information on what is going on. Less is more. You can kind of just use a small period and get the most amount of information from a small period of viewing. You don't need to be scrolling for hours. It's not going to help you. It's just going to be wasting your time. The low information diet is also going to require that you don't watch so much productivity media, like, videos on YouTube are a big one of how to be productive, how to or in like business focused channels, productivity kind of channels, the ones I'm talking about. You don't want to be busy as someone who is trying to do something, as someone who's trying to produce content for themselves. You want to be productive and you want to produce, but you don't want to just be busy doing a lot of action but not actually getting anything done, And productivity media can feel like you're being productive, but you're not. If you're only ever learning, if you're only ever taking in information, but you're never applying it and you're never actually using it and like getting those deeper connections in your brain, it's just going to be in one ear and out the other. You're not going to actually remember the information. You're not actually going to apply it or use it. You're just going to be constantly hearing and watching about what to do, but you're still going to be taking no action. So you need to lower the amount of information that you're intaking to the bare essentials, to the bare minimum, in order to like use it. So this has been called just-in-time information instead of just-in-case information, where you're just taking in information as you need it instead of, trying to watch everything now and then remember it for later in 5 months when you might maybe need the information from 5 months ago. So you need to lower the amount of information that you're taking so that you have the time and attention resources to put it into something to actually build, like for a channel, a video, or videos to actually post and get posting. A good question to ask yourself is going to be, am I being productive or just active? You don't want to just be active, doing a lot of action, but not producing anything. You want to be productive. You want to produce. It doesn't really matter, if it takes you 10 hours to make a book report and the book report gets you an 80, it doesn't really matter that you put in 10 hours. You still got an 80. It would be preferable for you to do a half hour of work to get an 80 because it's less action in the same production. So you want to minimize, ideally, you would want to minimize action to get the most production possible. So you don't need to be watching, 10 hours a week of productivity content. Maybe like you need to be reading a book in the morning or watching 10 minutes of something just to like get you locked in. Like I listen to like some house music in the morning to get hyped up, but you only have so much time. So you need to use it. You need to use it to actually on the things that are going to get you from A to B. All right. So just to summarize, if you want to produce content online, which I'm sure a lot of people do, you need to, one, realize that the internet wants to waste your time. It wants to use you instead of you using it. You need to keep this in mind, and you need to lower the amount of input, the amount of content that you are consuming, so that you have time and attention to put into your own goals, into your own craft, into producing your own thing. For example, video production, or actually making videos and posting them so that your channel actually grows and there's actually something for people to watch, so that you can build a little momentum instead of just sitting on your hands for 5 months and then having done nothing. So this has been a small little video about my current thoughts, my current kind of philosophy of work. If you have enjoyed, thank you for watching all the way to the end. I very much appreciate it. I hope that this has been helpful in some ways, and I hope you're doing great. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you later. All right, bye.